What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday, and welcome to the Sunday Slate Breakdown. If you tuned into our first video, we are coming off a 2-in-1 day as we picked correctly for the Detroit Lions spread, plus 4.5. We had David Montgomery anytime touchdown score, and we did miss on Jahmyr Gibbs over 3.5 receptions. In that matchup, just simply thought Jahmyr Gibbs would be in more packages with Ben Johnson. Seems like they're going to be rolling him out a little slower than anticipated, but in week one against the Chiefs, you could already see what a talent that kid is going to be. So that reception prop is definitely something I'm going to be hitting going forward. If you want additional information, feel free to check me out at SportsMemo or WagerTalk, or check me out on the X's and Bros radio show with Anthony Bellino. Once again, we'll link that right here if you want to check out any of those stations, and tune in every single Monday at 8:17 a.m., where I'm going to be breaking down Monday Night Football as well as the Lions' upcoming matchup. It does sound like I'm going to be on more shows than just Monday going forward on top of that, so would greatly appreciate you tuning in there. With the Sunday Slate Breakdown, essentially what I'm going to be doing is giving my top 3 to 5 plays going into every single week, breaking it down for you, and then giving you a long shot play at the end of the video. So again, with that being said, let's get right into it. If you do want to check things out in addition to YouTube, you can check me out on Twitter at MoneylineMatt8. I will also be doing a same game parlay every single Sunday going into that slate. But again, let's get right into it. And we are going to be starting with the San Francisco 49ers traveling on the road to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, that is a Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5 spread at home, and that is exactly where we are going to be going in this one. For starters, I really enjoy this game, and I think it's a great spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, for one, the San Francisco 49ers have to travel across the country going to Pittsburgh in a very tough stadium to play. In addition to that, this is a San Francisco 49ers team that has had plenty of distractions this offseason, starting with the Trey Lance drama. You know, he got traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, it does sure up Brock Purdy that he is the #1 quarterback going forward. But one thing with Brock Purdy is last year there was no tape on him. Now there is a bunch of tape on Brock Purdy, so that's a very important thing. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can definitely come in and take advantage in this spot. Another spot, it's Nick Bosa. You know, Nick Bosa has not been practicing with the team. He is potentially their best player in addition to that. So what type of synergy does this defense have? What type of chemistry does it have at this point in time? What type of shape is Nick Bosa in? So I think those are all things to keep in mind coming into this matchup, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know, you haven't heard much about them. They've been a nice, quiet team. Everything's going nice and smooth. You know, you have Mike Tomlin as a coach, obviously, who has he's never had a losing season with his Pittsburgh Steelers team. Since Mike Tomlin has taken over as the head coach, he is 4-1 at home in opening matchups for week one. So again, some statistics backing that on top of that. Then also some stuff that I like, the progression of someone like Kenny Pickett and George Pickens. I really liked what I saw from Kenny Pickett last year. I think he was becoming more confident as the season went on. He didn't make a ton of mistakes. He has the arm talent to succeed in this league. And then also you look at George Pickens. George Pickens was definitely a threat as a rookie last year, and you expect him to take that nice step forward, especially due to the fact that you have Deontay Johnson right there with him. They picked up Allen Robinson. They have Pat Freiermuth, and then as running backs, they have Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. So this is a talented team. And then they also have an offensive line that is greatly improved, 12th ranked by Pro Football Focus coming into this season. So for me, I think this Pittsburgh team is a very slept-on squad heading into the 2023 season. I actually have them winning this division. I know I've got a lot of shit for it, but here we go. Week one is here. It's time to put up or shut up. So I like the Steelers coming into this spot. And it's not just the offense. Take a look at the defense. You know, TJ Watt, statistically the best defensive player in this league. He also has Minka Fitzpatrick with him. They picked up Cole Holcomb, Larry Ogunjobi. You know, this Patrick Peterson, a veteran at cornerback on top of that. So again, Joey Porter Jr. behind him, someone who can learn from him. Again, I just think a lot of things point to this Pittsburgh Steelers team playing well at home. It's a very tough travel for the San Francisco 49ers. I think the 49ers have more going on at this point in time in comparison to that of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I expect the Steelers to play well at home in week one. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 2.5 for the first play of the day. Moving on, we have a player prop, and it is from the same exact game. You guys heard me say his name before. I really like George Pickens over 41.5 yards in this spot. For one, as a rookie, Pickens hit this number in 9 of 17 games. And you also have to remember that Mitch Trubisky was the starting quarterback for the first 3 games last year in 2022. And guess what? George Pickens missed in all 3 of those games with Mitch Trubisky. As the season went on, Pickens and Kenny Pickett developed a lot of chemistry. And to finish the season, George Pickens hit this number in 6 of 8 games to close the season, proving the fact that himself and Kenny Pickett really did develop some nice camaraderie, nice chemistry. I expect it to continue going right into this season. And, you look at George Pickens, this guy is 6'3", 215, a guy who can stretch the field, a guy who can go up and get it. And doesn't this Steelers and 49ers game just feels like a matchup where someone like George Pickens is going to stretch the field, make that one big play that is going to get the Pittsburgh Steelers over the edge, cover that 2.5 spread, and I actually believe they're going to win that game outright. And I think Pickens is going to be that guy who leads them over the top, gets it done. And again, it's just a great spot for George Pickens here. If there is a weakness for this San Francisco 49ers defense, it is their cornerbacks against the receivers. They actually ranked 26th in yards given up to receivers per game in 2022. They didn't change much there. If anything, they got more thin in that secondary. So for me, play number 2, George Pickens over 41.5 yards. Now, moving on, we have another game, and this one is actually going to be the Cincinnati Bengals traveling on the road to face off against the Cleveland Browns. And in this spot, I'm once again going with the home underdog. I love the look of the Cleveland Browns facing off against the Cincinnati Bengals. For one, to me, this is a Cincinnati Bengals team that is getting a little fat and sassy, and the Cleveland Browns have far more to prove coming into this matchup. They're going to be far more motivated, and they have new additions to this squad that want to come in and prove themselves right away. For one, you got to take a look at Deshaun Watson here. Deshaun Watson had I don't want to say distraction because he caused the distraction, but he had a lot going on last year. He was definitely rusty when he came back playing for the Cleveland Browns. And now, though, he's had a full training camp. He has solid weapons. He has Amari Cooper. He has DPJ and Donovan Peoples-Jones. And then they also added Elijah Moore to come in and fill that slot position. They have David Njoku as tight end, someone who can stretch the field a little bit from that tight end position, has good hands, all the above. And then, of course, you have that running back in Nick Chubb behind you. But the most important thing for this Cleveland Browns squad is that offensive line. They have a top 5 offensive line. They can control the line of scrimmage, rushing the football, play action, and then Deshaun Watson can move with his legs on top of that. So, again, I like that matchup from this Cleveland Browns offense when facing off against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. And then on the other hand, take a look at that Cleveland Browns defense. They are much improved once again. They got Myles Garrett coming off that edge who's going to be going after Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow has had that calf injury all preseason, all offseason. So, he's still mending that injury. How is he 100%? How much has he been practicing? Joe Burrow is so good, it doesn't exactly matter. But if he's hindered at all when you're facing a team like the Cleveland Browns, where, again, Myles Garrett is coming off that edge, Darius Smith on the other side. So this is a dangerous team. And if they're going to be able to get to Joe Burrow, if they're going to be able to rush the quarterback, they're going to be able to succeed because this is, they improved, the Cincinnati Bengals improved in terms of sacks given up, but they still gave up 44 sacks. 44 sacks last year. So this is definitely a Cleveland Browns team who can go get after the quarterback. Deshaun Watson has protected the football in his history, other than last year once again. So if you are expecting him to bounce back, which I personally do think he's going to bounce back, I think he's going to protect the football here. I think he's going to play very well. I think Nick Chubb is going to be able to run the football in addition to that. So for me, once again, I like this Cleveland Browns squad. They're playing at home. They want revenge on the Cincinnati Bengals team. And in all honesty, I'm sure they're sick and tired of hearing how good the Cincinnati Bengals are. That's been a division rival for them for a long time. I think they want to go out. I think they want to get this win, start off on the right foot in 2023. So it's just like the Steelers. Not only do I have the Browns plus 2.5, I have the Browns winning outright here. So for pick number 3, I have the Cleveland Browns plus 2.5. Now, moving on to our last play of the day, and this is a long shot play. And the long shot play that we're going to be rolling with is actually D'Onta Foreman anytime touchdown plus 475. And I actually think this is a great sprinkle because you have to take a look at the Chicago Bears team. In terms of best odds to score, you have Justin Fields leading the pack. And going into this season, sure, I expect Justin Fields to have 5, 6, 7 touchdowns, somewhere in that vicinity. But if you are the Chicago Bears and you truly believe Justin Fields is your quarterback of the future, how often do you want him getting hit inside the red zone by these defensive tackles, defensive ends, middle linebackers, all the above? I don't think you do. So because of that, I think D'Onta Foreman is definitely in line to get some red zone touches. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, well, what about Khalil Herbert? And I really do enjoy Khalil Herbert. I think Khalil Herbert is a solid talent for the Chicago Bears. I think he's actually a little bit slept on, but he is 5'9", 213 pounds. He is a lot smaller in comparison to D'Onta Foreman, who is 6 foot 235. So when they get in the red zone, I think Foreman very well could come into that game. You know, the Bears brought in D'Onta Foreman for a reason. And then if there is a way to beat up the Green Bay Packers, it's on the ground. This is a team that ranked 26 in terms of rushing yards per game given up at 139.5 yards per game. So giving up a shit ton of rushing yards. So I don't think it'll be that hard for D'Onta Foreman to come in the game, get some red zone touches. When you look at last year with the Carolina Panthers, in week 6 or week 7, Christian McCaffrey was traded. But then that's when Foreman actually got some chances. So from week 7 on, you know, he averaged not week 7 on, still throughout the entire season, but he averaged 2.1 red zone touches per game with the Carolina Panthers. And then from week 7 on, 5 times he had at least 4 red zone touches in a game. So I feel like the Carolina Panthers kind of put out the blueprint in how to use D'Onta Foreman. The Bears saw that. They brought him in for that reason specifically because, again, you don't want Justin Fields getting hit like that. Khalil Herbert's just a little bit too small to be getting all those red zone touches. And again, they're facing a Green Bay Packers team who was brutal against the run in 2022. Okay, so I really do like this play as a plus 475 anytime TD sprinkle. And if you want to get a little crazy, do D'Onta Foreman and A.J. Dillon. You combine the two of them, that's plus 1,100 over on DraftKings Sportsbook. You got to remember the Chicago Bears were 31st in the NFL in terms of rushing yards given up per game. So the two of them combined on a touchdown prop, I think it's actually a pretty good look, even though it's plus 1,100. I mean, we know we all like to put a little sprinkle out there on those crazy odds. So I think that's a good spot to start, or just starting with D'Onta Foreman anytime TD plus 475. So again, guys, that is the Sunday slate breakdown. Let's go over everything one more time. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers with plus 2.5 over the San Francisco 49ers. I also like the Steelers to win outright, but if you want to play it safe, run that 2.5. From there, we have George Pickens, same game. George Pickens over 41.5 yards receiving. Love that spot. From there, we have the Cleveland Browns plus 2.5 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Have the Browns winning that one outright as well. But again, if you want to play it safe, run the Browns plus 2.5. And then lastly, our Hail Mary sprinkle, we have D'Onta Foreman anytime TD plus 475. If you want to make it a little spicy, add in A.J. Dillon for plus 1,100. Again, guys, I am Matt Kowalis. I appreciate you tuning into the Sunday Slate Breakdown. You can expect this every single week. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at MoneyLineMatt8. I will be posting same-game parlays. I'll be posting these videos in addition to YouTube, Facebook, kind of all over the place. But yeah, guys, again, appreciate you tuning in. I am Matt Kowalis, and I am out. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.